Yeah? Welcome back to another episode of RecTalk. I'm your host, Nitin Sharma, founder, CEO, and all that good shit of RecTools.io, RecCircle, the RecTalk podcast, and a whole range of other projects I keep getting myself involved in, including things like the Recruitment Curry Club. My guests today are Darren from Paiger.
Thank you very much,
and
Jeremy.
Alan from Firefish. We're recording live from the 2025 team conference. We've got 20 minutes and we're going to talk about the tech landscape in the recruitment space right now and the lack of adoption within it, right, in terms of the difficulty that recruitment business owners have getting their teams to adopt this tech that they're going out and looking to buy. I mean, I get asked all the time, what's the best AI tool out there? What's the best RecTech tools out there? Right? And my answer is always the same, but it entirely depends on like what outcome you're looking for, right? Tell me about you guys. What are you guys seeing in the market at the minute?
Yeah, I think for me, it comes back to exactly what you were saying. What problem were you looking to solve? I always say to people, you don't go into Tesco's unless you're hungry or you've got a shopping list. Yeah. So why would you go to a RecTech space without having a shopping list? So actually do that due diligence internally. But for me, the adoption piece actually starts with right at the front of the process. It's about making sure the people you're actually going to be using the platform are bought into it from day one. Mm-hmm. Get them involved in the demos, get them involved in the sales process. So many times I speak to marketers that have a CRM, feel free to jump in here, but landed on their plate and they're not included in that buying process. So nobody thinks about it from a marketer's point of view, which is incredibly frustrating. And if you think about your end recruiters, why would you not get them involved in the actual demo? So they're the ones saying to you, no, I want this. It makes your life so much easier.
Can I answer that though? Because again, as a former business owner, we're the very needy team because they want everything. Yeah. Because everybody wants something different and they all want something and they're all magpies, right? Yeah. And it's not their money they're spending. So the reason I would usually not get them involved was because as far as they were concerned, we needed everything that was out there.
Yeah. But maybe not
the usage of those systems.
Right.
No.
But if you have, a lot of people see one demo and then buy, right? And that's great for
great
for us.
I agree with that.
Great. Yeah. But actually, is it not as a business owner, you should have a demo first, decide that actually you think this solves problems in your business, and the next step is to loop in people that are actually going to be using it.
Yeah. I think sometimes, whenever we do demos of software, the recruiters are always interesting, because you're right, they will see things, they think, Magpies looks great, but the adoption usually falls off after 2 weeks. See I always say to businesses, if I can convince your top biller to use it, then the rest of the team will use it, because most of the time, tech doesn't always solve the issue. You need to know the issue that you're trying to solve, as Darren said, but for a recruiter who's a top biller and is doing a good job, they think their way is the only way. Yeah. So when you bring tech in, you've got to assist it, but you've then got to prove the concept to them, and they'll never use it.
Yeah, surely it's harder though to get the top biller to adopt the tech. Because listen, if I'm fucking winning, I'm top of the leaderboard. None of these guys can hold a candle to me. I don't need to use your system. I'm doing it without it, right?
And that's the thing. Top billers to me are always interesting because they are creatures of habit. Yeah. They probably think they know more than whoever's sitting in front of them showing them the tech. And by the way, there's a good reason for that. They're doing good at their job, right? But what I always say to good recruiters is, if you have good tech that supports you and you're already great, it's a superpower, right?
You can really ramp up your output. Yeah, no, I agree with that. See, I think we're in a bit of a change in the industry, right? In terms of the SaaS model for me is dying off. I don't think we should be, as business owners now, buying tech to solve a problem. I think we should be buying tech to produce an outcome, as in it's got to be outcome related, right? I don't need to be buying a tech because my current CRM doesn't do this and I want it to do this, and therefore there's the problem I'm solving by moving. Yep. No, it's got to be, right, well, what am I not achieving as a business? Right? Yep. I want my guys to improve their personal branding. Yep. I want their network on LinkedIn to be reflected on my database. Yep. I want the candidates in my database to actively be engaged with my recruitment business and be using my recruitment business as one of their points of call for when they apply for jobs. That's the outcome I want to achieve. Now, for me to achieve that outcome, what tech do I need? Well, I might need Paiger. I might need Firefish. I might need a combination of that and another third. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think what you've described there is outcome buying, which is not normally what people do, because if I say to most people, what do you want the outcome to be? Oh, it's more placements.
Exactly.
We need to go back a little bit.
Well, that's the root cause analysis though, isn't it? Yeah, but I think this is where when you talk about the adoption rate dropping off and stuff, I think that's where the problem is, because there is so much tech out there. And this SaaS model allows you to go on a half an hour demo, click a button and buy. And so I've got £40 a month I pay to this guy, £80 a month I pay to this guy, this business over here does this bit of automation for me. I did it for 3 weeks, that failed, that didn't work the way I want it to. LinkedIn are going to ban my account because that one keeps logging into my LinkedIn. and then they sit there and they're like, tech shit, I don't want, I'm exhausted, I don't want to.
Just to clarify, that's not Paiger.
No, I don't.
I think a lot of the problem you're talking about there though is it's very like, it goes back to that recruiter again. Really, what we try to do, and what Darren tries to do, is you try to give good recruiters time back a lot of the time as well. Good tech can give good recruiters more time to be doing the things we're good at, speaking in the phone.
Keep doing good things, right?
That's it. And really, if you've got a tech that harnesses that, it gives them power to be able to make more placements. But if it's the other way about, honestly, in recruiters, I was one. It's really difficult to convince a recruiter sometimes that tech will help them, but when they adopt it, it's honestly a superpower for them. It's a fact.
When the personal branding one's an interesting thing, right? If you go back 5 years, it was an unknown. We think personal branding is going to help us win new business, right? I think we're past that now. People know that personal branding.
It's proven, yeah.
Yet still, when people say, right, we want our recruiters to post on LinkedIn, they're still not making it part of the KPIs. They've got KPIs for everything else. They've got KPIs for CVs out, but not once have they thought, right, I'm going to do it for posting on LinkedIn. So for me, it actually starts with, as a business owner, you decide what behaviours you want from your team, and you actually need to try and enforce them as well. Right? And then once you've actually had that problem, that's when you can go, right, I need technology to help either report on it or make it happen. Right? But I do think there's a bit of here where we seem to be, I'm speaking as a business owner, we seem to be scared of upsetting people.
Which you can't be. I agree with you, you can't be.
And that top biller, you're so scared of upsetting the top biller, even though you know they can be better.
But the thing with that is as well, we've all seen it. Like if you could convince somebody, especially a top biller, if they post that and they get a placement from it or a candidate from it, see how quickly they get back to it. That's always the thing. It's habits all the time. And for me, that's how I brought the point up about top billers. I had somebody last week at the expo, top biller in the business. The first thing he asked me was he wanted AI. And I said, what type of AI do you want? Didn't know. And he said, I want sequencing. And I said, well, sequencing
like what?
For BD, is that going to improve you? You're top biller in the business, so why do you need to send out 1,000 emails to win business? It probably won't help you. Emails, we all know when we're in email sequences, right? You just delete them half the time. So I think it's the knowledge, and people here, you just mentioned it there, it's curves. People mention buzzwords. It was sequencing for a while, it was automation, now it's AI. People don't actually understand it enough to be able to say that's going to fix a problem.
People are scared of missing out. So this is where I think where we are at the minute as an industry, and where a lot of the suppliers that I work with and sort of support with what I do, is we need to focus on education. That's what they're lacking, right? These guys are incredible billers who went on to start businesses and were very, very good, and are now getting to the point where like, fuck, what used to work isn't working anymore. Other people around me are taking advantage of tech and are flying. I'm missing that. That's the link that I'm missing. What they don't understand is actually, before you go and buy that tech, there's a big education piece you need to figure out that outcome. Well, what is it I'm trying to do as a business? Do I need to actually KPI my team to post on LinkedIn? Because am I taking marketing seriously as a business? Or am I still running a sales engine? And if I'm just running a sales engine, then do I need AI? Because automation might do the things that these recruiters are refusing to now do. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know if you find this as well. I think people get really confused between AI and automation.
Of course they do,
They live quite closely together with different interests, right? But people don't understand
the problem is though, there's suppliers out there that interchangeably use the term AI and automation. They will sell an automation product as AI. So you can't expect business owners in recruitment to understand that. You know what I mean?
But I don't think you need to if you've decided your shopping list. I know I keep coming back to it. You know what your shopping list is. And I think
when you say shopping list, though, do you mean actual products or the things you need?
No, the things that you need. So I'm a big believer that the reason you should bring technology into a business is to drive efficiencies, and especially in recruitment, what makes us fantastic is the fact that it's human to human, whether that's B2C, B2B. What we're trying to do, and I keep seeing people trying to do, is automate that side of it, which to me is horribly the wrong thing to do.
That's the worst side to automate.
Don't automate that. So my shopping list, if I were a recruitment business owner, would be right. My team was spending time formatting CVs, finding leads. I don't want to automate the phone calls, the emails, right, the outreach, because that's what's going to actually keep us human. If everybody automates the human side, then actually what we're doing is killing our industry, and it's going to be the people that don't do that in 5 years' time that actually have a USP.
I think as well, do you not think data doesn't lie? So see, whatever you're doing in your business, if you've got the data correct and you can see the KPIs at work, or these types of things, it's like then you can start to implement tech to fix some of the problems maybe you're having. Half the time it's time to me. I always think that as a recruiter, if you can give good recruiters back time
to do the thing they're good at,
they're good at, which is talking, not automation, calls, email sequencing. Again, I think there was a boom in email sequencing for a long time. I think it's totally, for BD, it's so difficult now to do email sequencing because people know. I get an email from a guy last week who I've known for 20 years, and he was like, "Hi Alan, you got to book time in my diary," and I'm like, I had to phone him and say,
"The fuck is this?
Come on, fuck me, you've known each other a long time. Like, what is going on?
You're on WhatsApp with me. Why are you not WhatsApp me?
At your wedding." It's like that type of stuff. So I do think there is. There's like trends that happen, and that is now. Like we said at the expo last week, people we want to do sequencing, and you're like, but why? I can understand if it's to follow up in a CD maybe.
Because they hear, they hear people on LinkedIn hyping about how much they've achieved by doing it, and they've created this FOMO around it, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, shit, I'm missing out. My competitors are doing this, and I'm not. I need to be doing it. Yeah. Because the truth is, and again, a lot of the business owners I speak to who are absolutely killing it right now, they're not telling you what they're doing. They're not out there posting about, by the way, I'm doing. They're just doing it. Yeah. They're just out there. They're just doing it, and they're doing it well. And you guys don't even know that that's happening. Yeah. All this noise around email sequence is a real bugbear for me. Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. Is if your product or if a product is putting the recruiter out of doing the recruitment part of the job, that's not what you need to be buying. You know, things like Meet Dwight. That's what you need to be buying to get rid of admin time. Things like Recruiter Flow or Firefish and CRMs that have got AI built in that go, do you know what? We'll do all of this shit for you.
Some of the tasks.
There's no 8 p.m. coding nights and the boss will buy you a pizza out. No, we don't need that anymore. You know, things like your product where it's gone. Here's some things that you could post about, and here's all the things that are actually engaging in your marketplace. Now do it. Like, you know,
if there's one thing you want to monitor the output of is how many conversations you're having in a day.
Yeah.
Because conversations are what make us money, right?
Exactly.
People say the phone's king. I'm actually a believer that the phone's second to things like today, an event where you're seeing people face to face, lunches, dinners. Yeah. We need to get back to that, and then the phone, and then email. I
think nowadays, though, you need to win the right to have a conversation with somebody. I genuinely believe that. I think the old days you used to phone an office and it would be like, can I speak to you? And you would get them on the phone. Nowadays, you need to try and win the right. I think there's a couple of I know you, I know your business, I understand it, and here's the reason why I want to talk to you. Half the time that's the approach now.
We are heading really back into that kind of late 70s, early 80s business mindset where it's not cold call and cold sales and that kind of thing anymore. It's recommendations and referrals, right? It's
personal brand.
You need to speak to this guy. Why? Because they're fucking brilliant. They're good for what you want. Well, if you're telling me, then call. I will. I had Michelle Flynn on earlier, and Michelle was talking about doing breath work for absolutely ages, and was struggling to get traction with certain types of people, until Jeremy Snell said, I did one of her sessions. It was brilliant. And then all of a sudden, people are like, Jeremy mentioned your breathwork session, and we should,
yeah, because it breaks down that barrier of this isn't for me.
That's it.
Actually, now I can relate, and maybe it is for me.
That's right. Yeah, for me, it's not people buy from people. It's people buy from people like me, or people buy from people that like me. So it's likability or relatability. That's the thing. And so that example with Jeremy, if it's good enough for Jeremy, it's good enough for me, or actually I rate him enough. If he's saying it's good, I'm going to look into it.
Yeah, I mean, if he recommended a beard oil, I'd be all over it.
All over it, right? Yeah. Clippers.
I'm in.
You should saw his hat yesterday. He had a leather hat on. It was brilliant. You saw his hat yesterday.
Brilliant. So do both of you think then, how much, and this is a question I've asked my own team, but I think we've got to take so much responsibility on the service providers nowadays that you've got to, for adoption, you've got to continue the relationship after the sale. You've got to be with 100%. Your team, showing them who's doing what.
This is what I would say, the SaaS model's dead. This whole buy and I'll speak to you in 12 months' time when your contract's up for renewal and be your best friend again. That model is dead.
We've just introduced a new team called Product Specialists, and they're actually monitoring health scores of individual users and proactively reaching out to offer additional training.
It's not just that as well. That conversation then makes people feel wanted, but it also gets them re-engaged again.
That's it.
That's a big thing.
That's separate to our customer success. So customer success is still there, running quarterly reviews, but a whole dedicated team to the actual users. Because if you think about it in a recruitment business, the decision maker, the buyer, isn't always the end user.
No.
Right? So actually, we've had to set ourselves up in that way as well, where we've got a team for the users and a team for the buyer. Because so many people concentrate just on that person that signs the contract, when actually they will renew if their users are using it.
But this comes back to that recommendation and advocacy thing, right? Because if I'm a business owner, I've got a team of 10, and they're telling me, no, I use Paiger, I use it all the time, and I go, I've got to cut costs somewhere, and we're getting rid of Paiger, and the team go, please don't.
Yeah, you
like,
need,
we
you need
use
that
this
pain.
on.
You need the
you
pain.
want that advocacy, you know.
100%.
You don't want one business owner being like, yeah, I'm not, no, I'm, you know, I like you, so I'll stay with you. You want the business owner's team going, no, we can't live without this product.
Yeah,
because that's when you, and then you've got all the habitual stuff, right? It takes what, 7 or 8 times of doing something before it becomes a habit, and so you've got to be on them, making sure they're doing these things.
And giving the feedback to agency owners is key. But that data again comes back to everything. It's who's using what, who's using it well, how can you get people more engaged. Customers become sticky then, they'll stay with you, they never leave.
That's it.
And they'll be good, like you said earlier, then they're more likely to refer you to people. And that's how
they will, that's the thing, they will refer. That's where most of, most of my work comes from referrals. Recommendations and personal brand. What about you guys?
It's a real mix. I think around 40% of ours is still cold calling, so we've still got a very proactive outbound. Then we've got our pay-per-click adverts, probably 20-30%, and then the rest is inbound from our LinkedIn activity. So, and referrals are thrown into that mix. So, you know, the phone is not dead. Far from it.
I agree.
Right?
Totally
Far
agree.
from it. But actually, it's one channel amongst many channels you should be using. For us, it's about having the blend, and they all play into each other, right? I've had so many people come up to me today. I said, one of your guys phoned me last week. I knew I was coming here today, so I said, look, I'll talk to you here. Right, so you've got to be in all the channels that your customers are in.
I also think the key with that is you guys have done such a good job, and so Firefish, even well before I was there, people know your brand. So when you say, hi, I'm from Paiger, they know what they're going to be getting sold. It's not an alien alien thing where they're like,
sorry, what? Yeah, what's this about?
Most of the time they'll know who you are, which is good, and that's down to branding mostly. I think it gives you the right to phone somebody. I feel as though on our team now, we get a lot of income at Firefish. We've always been lucky that way because of the way Wendy's built the business, in a way that the model we've got for BD now, whenever we speak to somebody, they've normally had blogs from us, or they've seen some of the podcast stuff we do. It's like there's a lot of educational piece with Firefish, but I do think with the calling part of it, my team they're getting so good now at winning the right for a call. So they'll tell them a problem they're solving, or these are things we're seeing in the industry, but by then they've already had education pieces from us, so they know what we're talking about. And when my team are then going in for calls, it makes it a lot easier. I think the people that are doing proper cold calling now and just phoning people day to day, they get too disheartened too quick because they're not getting results for it quick. I don't know about you, Dan, but a lot of our business sometimes it's call 4 or call 6, or like you can't just get a no and then leave it.
I'll be honest,
go.
the head of sales will know the answer to that. I don't. I haven't got a clue.
Well, your guys, it's more
stays far away from that.
I'm not a cold caller myself.
Darren's more a top-down view. Yeah, things look good from here.
We hit target. Great.
Dan just likes numbers. But we are
tinkering with the product.
Honestly, like by the time you get to 3-4 calls, then people really give you the information you need.
But that's how people buy.
100%.
In the real world, that's how people buy. Nobody has ever, in my entire coming up to 40 years of existence, rang me up out of the blue and sold me something that I didn't know about, didn't need, and convinced me that I needed it, and done the transaction on the phone.
Jordan Belfort stuff.
It just doesn't happen.
I did order a hot tub once when I was drunk in Benidorm, and I came home.
You ordered that. You sold that to yourself.
I know. I got an advert on Instagram. I wasn't in the market for it, but I was drunk and I thought that sounds good.
I need.
And then I got a message the next day from the wife saying, "What is this on the driveway?"
That's adoption at its best. They're done. There's adoption of tech there.
Brilliant. That is great.
It's still there and I use it, so it's a great purchase.
There you go.
That's what I tell my wife anyway.
Love it.
What about you? Hot tub up in Scotland or not?
No, listen, I'd love one. But I've actually got a cold plunge in my back garden. I'm at the age now where...
Don't they just call that a plunge in Scotland?
No, well, pretty much. By the way, to tell you, in the winter it wasn't fun, but I'm now at the age where over 40, still trying to play football, so I need, it's not the heat I need, it's the cold I need to get the muscles back ready.
Is
to
it
work
working?
again,
Does
so
it work? I just feel like it's a fad.
No, it's by my missus is the same. She's always like, she looks out the window at me and she's like, what are you doing? But I do feel better for it. I do. I think, and do you know the biggest thing for me is mental for me? Like, if you can go in and stay
this is
cold
like a
water.
mental torture thing, that if I can overcome this, nothing in my day is going to be shit.
I was laughing the other day, my best friend got one as well when I went round his house, and I was like, I could see it was open a little bit, the kind of lid in it, and it was like full of beer. So he's using it as a beer fridge now, so his adoption of that was good. So
the only time I've ever done the cold plunge is at Centre Parks. You know, it's outside and you're like, I'll get in for 2 seconds, and that's it, and then I'm down the rapids. That's it,
I don't know MD can say they enjoy it, it's horrible. But it does help me. I don't feel sore after. So
yeah, I couldn't do it. Guys, this has been fun. I really appreciate your time, and wish you all the best with your kind of the remainder of your 2025 and your user adoption, and long may the success continue. But honestly,
thank you very much.
Appreciate you giving me the time.
Good talking to you again.
Thank you, mate.
Okay.
That's all from us. We'll see you again next time. New episodes drop every Wednesday and every Friday. If you want to learn more about what Firefish do and what Paiger do, there'll be links to their stuff in the description below. Yep. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and doing all the cool shit that you guys do to keep us number one. See you again next time.
Cheers,
that
man.
was good, man.
That was great.